If you're coming to the Amsterdam and you're looking for prostitutes and joints and all this stuff, you will find it like everywhere. If they are coming just because of it's famous about it, Amsterdam is not famous only because of that.
The first question, if you tell an American person that you live in Amsterdam, the first thing they say, you do you smoke pot? It's also legal to drink water here. And they don't ask me, do you drink water?
For me, it's kind of funny because I was born in Jamaica and I'm living in Amsterdam, and people always assume like that I smoke. And when I say I don't smoke, then they always assume I'm lying. They're like laughing. And I'm like, really? I really don't smoke.
And then they're really surprised because I can and I could.
I used to.
Well, I used to smoke weed, and eventually I quit because I just didn't feel like it anymore.
I don't smoke drugs myself, I never have. But I don't think they're any more dangerous than alcohol.
I do like a bit of weed now and again. I should have said that. I don't know if I want to say this. But I find that is an attractive part of the city. Just not that I just smoke every day or anything, but I just like the fact that you can if you want. To me, it's a pretty harmless drug, and I like the idea that you can get it if you want it.
No, once in a while I gave up smoking, like altogether, cigarettes especially. But once in a while, when I smell a nice joint, I would love to have a couple hits, and that's basically it.
People that they live in Amsterdam, it's not so special anymore. It's just a normal thing. Like you going to buy a milk, you can go and buy a gram of wheat.
It's not like the whole country is puffing away and being totally mind blown and not of this planet.
There is more to do than just smoke dope. You know, you can do a lot of culture here, and then you can go to dances and parties and raves and bars and meet other people. And if you just sit in a coffee bar and get stoned, then you miss all of that.
I was always told that weed isn't such a bad thing as long as you can control it.
But the problem in Amsterdam, the tourists, they don't know how to behave, and there was a many like very dangerous situation after using weed or after using mushrooms.
There's this permeating feeling of tolerance. You can do whatever you like, wherever you like, whenever you like. But in actuality, that's not really the case.
A lot of people think, oh, it's Amsterdam, you can smoke wherever you want. And you can. You can smoke weed wherever you want. You can roll it wherever you want. But I think the whole point of this city and allowing it is that you shouldn't do it everywhere. You should respect other people too. Just because you can doesn't mean you have to.
Smoking a joint as you're walking down the street, even though it seems like everybody's smoking marijuana, asociaal. Dutch people will let you be asociaal. Asociaal is this phenomenon of you're going against the rules that aren't written down. They don't actually come right out and say it, but they don't want you smoking marijuana where children are, for instance.
I mean, if you're next to a school, I wouldn't smoke a joint. If you're walking through the Kalverstraat, which is a big shopping street, a lot of people there. I think it's quite selfish to walk around with a joint there. When there are parks, there are lovely places to smoke, where you're not bothering anybody.
7 months after I first landed here, after 7 months of smoking joints, I suddenly decided to quit because I couldn't get used to the strength, the power of Dutch weed.
You do notice people blacking out from weed, and it's almost always tourists because they smoke a pure joint of weed that's 20% THC. In other countries, it's probably 5%, so you're actually smoking 4 joints in one. Smoke it as a normal joint and you pass out. It's a lot harder of a drug here than it probably is in your own country because they're really perfecting the ways of growing it.
Do you know what gedoogbeleid means?
No, I don't.
Gedoog wat?
Oh God, yeah, that's an awful word, isn't it?
Gedoogbeleid.
Gedoogbeleid.
Gedoogbeleid means a policy of gedogen.
Gedoogbeleid. It's like seeing through the fingers. That's basically it.
Like that.
Gedoogbeleid is this. The police is doing this. We know it, we see it, but we're not gonna act upon it.
You're not allowed to, but we might just turn a blind eye.
It's like, yeah, it's not legal, but it's all right.
Marijuana is not legal.
All drugs are against the law in Holland. The possession of up to 5 grams of soft drugs is a misdemeanor, punishable by a fine. No one has ever paid a fine. No one has ever been charged. But it's on the books. So the people who are against drugs are happy because there's a law against it. And the people who want to use drugs are happy too because they can get it.
In the 90s, Dutch politics had a brilliant plan, and they said, well, actually, if everything is so illegal and we have to spend our time rounding up the people who smoke a joint, we never get to see the bigger criminals. And so they said, let's semi-legalize the shops selling these soft drugs so we can regulate. And I think it was a brilliant plan.
And that's the Dutch way of trying to please everybody.
You are allowed to smoke it, but you're not allowed to grow it. However, there's marijuana in the coffee shops for sale. Where does it come from?
A coffee shop with a license is actually allowed to sell weed and hash to adult people. But where it becomes funny is that so far it's never been tolerated or legalized to actually grow the quantity of weed and needed. They are forced into this gray area of, this is what we're talking about, to do illegal stuff, to hide it. A lot of people don't know where the weed comes from.
I know for a fact that there are people throughout Amsterdam who work exclusively for coffee shops who hold marijuana at their house waiting for a telephone call to come bring a new supply because they're only allowed to have so much on hand at one moment in time.
You have a cow, you can drink the milk, but you're not allowed to milk it.
It's a really stupid rule, but I think the government's behind that. I think the government's getting a lot of money out of illegally dealing drugs to coffee shops. But that's just my conspiracy theory.
Okay. Why don't they just flat out legalize it?
I don't know. This you should ask the politics.
There are people that want to legalize it and they're like completely legalize it and even make it government controlled, which would be a huge boost for the economy because there would be a lot more tax money flowing into the country.
But nowadays they try to actually kill the gedoogbeleid, and it's a really stupid plan. Vertrutting, yes, vertrutting. It's bad.
A what? Vertrutting. Vertrutting.
Vertrutting.
Is there a way to describe that for foreigners, what that means?
No, these questions are difficult, man.
Well, the government is really trying to control basically everything. Now you cannot be drunk in a bar.
It's like you can't do anything anymore and they're watching everything you do. More rules.
Vertrutting is basically the government telling you how you should live your life. All the rules and regulations.
Well, it's actually a politics thing, and lots of politicians want us to be twee and not creative or different. They don't want any coffee shops. They don't want any sex industry. They don't want shops to have ugly signs on their door. They want everything to be normal and old-fashioned and the way they think it used to be.
The thing was about the coffee shops, that they were, well, they're going to close the coffee shops, and everybody was like, wow, panicking, like, how? We cannot imagine Amsterdam without the coffee shops.
I don't smoke marijuana, so it doesn't really concern me, but I have to admit, if they got rid of it altogether, it would make me sad.
Politicians, parents, teachers don't want your kids to smoke weed.
The government wants to close down coffee shops near schools. And I think that's really patronizing. I mean, when I was 14, 15, yeah, I went to the coffee shop and I got weed and everything. And I mean, yeah, it happened, you know, and it didn't kill me. not all kids use drugs or smoke weed, so I think it's kind of ridiculous, basically, and it's just gonna cause everything to go underground.
They've gotten rid of at least half, if not more, of the prostitute windows. They keep trying to get rid of the coffee shops, and if you somehow screw up with your coffee shop and get shut down, there are no more licenses available to the coffee shop industry. They are shutting down grow houses throughout all of the Netherlands.
The government of the Netherlands, the present government we have, is quite right-wing, and they want all soft drugs to be illegal. Just in one sweep, the government wants to get rid of all the soft drugs. The mayor of Amsterdam is so against these measures that he's openly rebelling against the government because he knows it won't work in Amsterdam.
And in Amsterdam especially, they kind of go, okay, yeah, that's your law, that's your rule, whatever you want, but I'm gonna live my life my way.
The government is trying to control the herd or something, you know? We're not all sheep. People can think for themselves.
I mean, it's your own choice what substance you use. I've no idea why conservative people are against it. Probably because it still has this these connotations of hippie, anarchy. You are not part of the establishment.
Holland wants to change how the world view them.
They were fed up with the idea of it, the image of Holland in general being a drug country. So this is what I think would be a reason for them. Okay, well, we took care of a lot of coffee shops on the borders. Let's take care of the biggest problem now, which would be Amsterdam.
Does that not seem a little bit short-sighted to you?
It does, but it doesn't surprise me. So if they shut down all the coffee shops, then first of all, that's a lot of money not going to the state anymore. And you got to think about it. Where does all the money come from? From all those coffee shops? Tourists. About 80%. Now we are talking about people that do not know what they're talking about. And that's the funny thing. They just want to get rid of that image.
And everything in Amsterdam is becoming more and more conservative. And my personal opinion, it's all about this. It's about money. A lot of the sex, drugs, and rock and roll of Amsterdam sits on extremely expensive and valuable real estate. So my personal opinion is that they're trying to push all of that out.
Another thing is the pressure from the other European countries. It's a big pressure into Holland about it because Holland is the only place in Europe that they legally sell it.
Well, why don't they legalize it? Then we won't have it.
Aha! That's the question.